They said I joke too much, that I don't fit the mold. But last time I checked, I'm the one still bold.
Welcome to a brand new episode of our rebranded podcast. It's no longer the Hidden Potential podcast, and there's no longer the Forever and Ever podcast. Two are made one in this Heart and Hustle podcast. If you haven't seen already, we've done a complete rebrand of our podcast and our content and trying to funnel into a singular image and idea. With that being said, today we are going to have our first episode with our new flow, and today we're going to be talking about finding your flow, creating the hustle that you actually enjoy. And today, I feel like it's actually personal for me. Even with this new rebranding, it's about finding the kind of hustle, if you will, that actually brings you joy and the creative grind that makes you feel alive. I want to talk about what it means to go after something you like. And even when maybe not everybody understands it, maybe not everyone even supports it, because the truth is, this thing that you love isn't meant to make sense to everyone. It's meant to make sense to you. And so with that being said, part one is following your creative curiosity. And for me personally, lately I've been diving into different things that I've kind of always wanted to do. From something as simple as like learning how to ollie on a skateboard to making music. Now, for those of y'all who have been maybe seeing my little drops of music, it's not just it's the music for the sake of making music, which is fun in itself, but I'm using AI to create songs from my sermons. My sermons are completely done out of word for word manuscript, and now I'm experimenting with this idea that I simply had. What if people could take the message with them in another form? Not just the sermon, but a song that they could drive to, work out to, just have on repeat when they need it the most. And that's where I really felt this inspiration growing. And it's like something in me that's always wanted to create music with meaning. And while I don't have all the skill sets, I can mess around on the kazoo, I'm able to use different technology to be able to help bring to life something that was deep within my heart. And it's able to happen in this way that I enjoy. I truly enjoy doing it. And it feels connected to something that I created, connected to something that made a difference in other people's lives. But of course, with this kind of direction, not everybody is going to get it. Some people love it, some people are curious, and some just don't like it at all. And that's okay, because I'm not making it so that everybody could like it. I'm not doing it to please others. The creative things that you feel drawn to, the things that you make that make your soul light up, that bring a little bit of thrill to your life. See, they're not always meant to be explained or even defended. And sometimes they're just meant to be expressed. And the more that I play around with AI music, the more that I play around with skateboarding, the more I play around with even streaming video games, the more I realize that this is something I genuinely enjoy. It's not forced. It's not about this idea of numbers or approval. It's just for fun. It's fulfilling. And that's what matters. And if you're listening right now, maybe there's something that you've been curious about doing, whether it's starting a small business, learning an instrument, painting, creating content, or maybe just revisiting something that you used to love. You've probably already talked yourself out of it 10 times because you're afraid that people won't take it seriously. But the truth is, you don't need other people to understand this thing for you in order for it to be meaningful. And that leads us to part two, when people don't get it. And from the moment that I first started branching out, even just from starting the church to making shirts, it is kind of the same story where I remember these early moments, and even with the church, remember key people that told me it will never grow. There's key people that told me the best advice that they could give me was for me to give up what I was doing and go serve at another local church. It was a bad idea. And the same thing for the shirts. I remember designing the first few pieces, and I love this idea of being able to express my creativity, the art, the message behind it. But as soon as I started putting them out, I heard all kinds of things. These cost too much. You should make this kind instead. That's not really a good idea. I don't like how this looks. This style is too much. And it's like this moment where here I am excited about something that I'm doing. I like it. And wow, it's good to, take suggestions and, some criticisms. At first it stung. I was like just barely breaching the water and felt like I was being shoved back down to drown. And it's because when you create something, it's personal. You're putting a piece of yourself out there. And over time, when you choose not to give up, I feel like I've learned that the things that you create just simply aren't for everyone. And when you realize that it's not for everyone, but that they are for somebody, they're for the people that really connect with it, that becomes enough. And even when it comes to this idea of small businesses, there's so many small businesses owners that I've met, to where at first it was just a simple little dream, the simple idea they had, and it starts connecting with people, and almost immediately they're overwhelmed by criticism, with people saying like, well, this should be more broad, it's not for everybody, you should reconsider. And again, let's take a step back and just chill out, because there are people who genuinely love the things that you're doing. For me, there's people who genuinely love the designs, the artwork, the message, even the music that I just started. People who see what I see, and that's who it's for. If I would have stopped because of the critics, I would have robbed myself of something that brings me joy. And honestly, that's what a lot of people do, is they quit before they even start because they're afraid of being misunderstood. But listen, your creativity doesn't need a crowd. Your passion doesn't need a crowd. You need courage. That passion, that creativity, whatever it is, it needs courage. And if you can find the courage to keep going when it's quiet, then that's where confidence is able to grow. There's definitely long periods of stretch to where I just felt like nobody believed in what I was doing. Nobody could see what I see. And I had to really endure those silent and almost stagnant moments where it seemed like nothing was working. And after being able to just really solidify the courage and confidence and really establish what it is that I want, what it is I'm doing, on the other side, I finally see that breakthrough and realize that if I were to have stopped because of those few naysayers, I wouldn't be in this position where I truly love where I'm at. I love what I'm able to do. That leads to part 3, which is reconnecting to yourself. Another thing that surprised me lately is how much I've been enjoying these different things. Like take skateboarding, for example. And truth be told, it was almost like a coincidence, because I used to skateboard when I was a teenager, but mainly just to get around San Antonio. It was faster than walking, and I would skate from via bus to via bus stop to be able to get there faster. But I could never do an ollie. And there's times where I would try, I want to learn how to do tricks, and I just couldn't do it. And coincidentally, right around the time that those of y'all who know Forrest Frank, when he broke his back, I happened to find this skateboard on sale at a store. And I was like, oh, perfect. I've been wanting to bust this out again. And my wife was not thrilled about it, okay? She's like, you're going to break your back. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not Forrest Frank. But it's this thing that I used to love. But as life got busy, somewhere along the way, it just stops. You stop doing these things that you used to enjoy. You stop trying. And picking up a board again has really felt like rediscovering an old friend. There's something about it that feels simple and freeing, that I am just doing something that I want to do. There's no agenda, there's no audience, there's no purpose. It's just joy. It feels good. And I think that that's something important, because when you're constantly trying to create or lead or build, really just hustle, you can lose touch with who you are outside of what you produce. And for me, skateboarding has been just like this little reminder that I'm not just what I do. I'm still that kid who loved to try, who loved to, this idea of falling and getting back up, who just, in a sense, was able to skate along. And sometimes we forget that side of ourselves, that side that just enjoys life without measuring it. And reconnecting to that part for me has made me feel so much more grounded. And it's like I'm happy with who I am, regardless of what anyone else thinks. Now, that leads us to part 5, which is the fear of being misunderstood. Again, this is where a lot of us kind of draw back, we recluse. And it's one of the hardest parts about chasing what you love. And that is not knowing is knowing that not everyone will cheer for you. Some will misunderstand your motives. Some will question your priorities. Some will simply not care. Even just like with this new music trend that I've got, like here I am, I'm developing, I'm pulling the lyrics from straight of my manuscripts. I'm feeding this genre, the type of style, how I want it to sound, and using AI to help generate this music. And I feel so like it feels so fun to me. It feels so like fresh. And there's some people who right away are like, wow, that's awesome, that's cool, you did that, oh man, that's really nice. And then there's some who right away is like, did you use AI? It's almost like a quick condescending thing. And again, anyone that's listening to this, if you're a person that asked me, don't worry, I'm not hurt feelings. I'm just trying to make a point here. It's things like that can make you feel like you're being misunderstood, to where just a quick comment or a question that feels condescending can make you second guess yourself. But the thing is, if you let that stop you, you'll spend your life performing instead of living. And when I started even just this music thing, it's like this idea of people had these opinions, good and bad. When I started Gravetop Church, people had opinions. When I began designing clothes, opinions. And even with this podcast, I've heard people say, you're doing too much, you're trying too many things. But maybe I'm not doing too much. Maybe I'm just finally doing what I'm meant to do. And the truth is, people often project their own fears onto your freedom. They see you creating without permission, and it makes them feel uncomfortable because deep down they wish that they could do the same. And we just simply should not let misunderstanding make us mute our creativity. You're not here to be understood. You're here to just be authentic. Just be authentic to your best self. And finally, part 5 of this episode is chasing joy, not just success. There's something powerful that happens when you stop chasing the approval of others and you start chasing joy. You move differently, you create differently, you live differently. And I remember early on when we had first started the church, I had gotten one of those phone calls where someone just like voiced all of my fears and insecurities in an audible voice over the phone, telling me that I needed to give up, I'm not qualified. And I was just so discouraged. And luckily my dad, I talked to him about it, and I was, even playing along with this imposter syndrome. Like, maybe I do need it. It hasn't grown this so far. Like, maybe this is just, a terrible idea, and I just made a big mistake. It was like all these, this huge pity party I was throwing for myself. And my dad said something that really changed my life. And it was along the lines of, Homer, you need to stop looking for the approval of others, and you're going to just have to walk out your purpose despite what anyone else thinks. And it really gave me that confidence I needed to keep going. So often we seek for that validation, but at the end of the day, you need to just live differently. You move differently. Don't fit into the mold or the box that others may want you to fit in. And now when that same mantra goes through my head, when I'm working with music now, I don't really care if people grasp on it and say, if it appeared on the radio or not, that would be crazy, but that'd be really funny to me. But that's not my intention. When I'm skating, I don't care if I fall. When I'm designing shirts, I don't care if everyone buys them. My joy isn't tied to this outcome. It's tied to this expression. I really enjoy what I'm doing regardless of who is consuming this thing. And that's where that freedom is. That's where you find peace. And that's what I want for everyone listening today, to find something that lights you up again. And I would say that from the bottom of my heart, that's really what started with our church, is this simple idea that I wanted to be able to be at a church where I could be myself and feel accepted and loved. And that was like this one mission where I wanted to build something I felt like I hadn't experienced, that kind of community. And while it was very small for many years, and some would consider it still small today, but it was like there's times where only 9 people came, less than double digits, single digit numbers come. And here I am preparing content for this small group of people. But the more that I felt that freedom to be myself as a pastor, as a leader, and being able to form this place where people could do that too, it felt alive. It felt so worth it, to where there would be so many times where I considered the possibility, would I rather do this small little thing, Or would I leave it to go work at a mega church? Should I apply here to get more stability? Should I just leave this? And I would come to myself over and over again, realizing that I would not be happy just going that route. I would not be happy with just fitting this mold when I have this passion inside of me. And even if you're in a season where everything feels heavy, I've been there. I know what that feels like. It is complicated, but I encourage you to try to find one thing that reconnects you to your soul. Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's writing, maybe it's working with your hands or just going for a walk. But don't underestimate the spiritual power of simply enjoying something again. So as we close today, I want to leave you with this. Your creative flow, your unique hustle, it doesn't need validation to be valuable. People may not understand your path, and that's fine. They didn't get Noah until it rained. They won't get you until it grows. Whatever that thing is that you've been thinking about starting or revisiting, I really encourage you to simply do it. Even if it's small, even if no one claps, because the moment that you start, you're already succeeding in the way that matters most. You're becoming yourself again. Thanks for listening to the Heart and Hustle podcast today. If this encouraged you, I really would ask for you to share it with someone that might need it today. Let it be a reminder for them and that it's okay to be different, to create freely, and to chase the kind of hustle that actually brings you joy. But until next time, have a great life.
Then tell me why you still watch every move I take. You call me phony, nah, I'm just free. And if you still doubt me, go by my book.